So Gail came back home with the turkey that he hunted, and he was gonna have uh, the old sex pervert buy that turkey. Only it wasn't the old sex pervert. It was the new murder man, and he decided he was gonna whip Gail because this again, President Snow wants to prevent a revolution, right? And District 12 is nowhere near a revolution right now. But you know what would be great if maybe we crack down on them so that people kind of got to thinking that maybe we don't want this capital bullshit anymore. You know? I don't see how this is supposed to prevent a revolution. They electrify the fence and they bring in machine gunners and they bring in this guy who, by the way, I kind of thought, like, okay, this guy could be the villain of this book, right? Like, President Snow's got to be the major villain, but you got to have someone that you beat or who
Your
beats you.
your mistake is thinking that everything you've read up until this point is relevant
Matters.
to the rest of the
Yes.
book.
Yes, exactly. Hunger Games Book 2 Part 2. That's all the introduction it needs. Let's go. Cuz it built up like Cato was the major threat in the Hunger Games. He was building a big alliance, a big burly men and women and he was the threat. And they beat him. But they didn't overthrow the Capitol. They got one over on the Capitol and they beat the villain, the book villain, but not the series villain. So this guy, it's like, okay, he's an asshole. He's coming in, he's beating people, he's lashing people, he burns down the black market, which the Capitol owns. Whoopsie, but whatever. And like, he does all that, and it's like, okay, we're gonna have to find a way to take this guy down. That's the revolution in this book that leads to a wider revolution in later books. Got it.
Can I tell you, I honestly think it would have been a more interesting book if Katniss and Peeta had to be mentors.
I think it would have been more interesting if you did a lot of things. You could have just killed Katniss and made it a completely different book. You
Like,
could have put Katniss in jail and then had a clone mutation of Katniss, but pro capital. And
well, I'm just thinking it follows like the narrative they set up. Like Katniss and Peeta have to be mentors, but can they just sit there and watch people die, or can they, work with them from the inside to like try to sabotage the games themselves? And then you would
and then they
have,
find out one of their mentees is kind of a piece of shit.
yeah, like you throw some twists and turns in there, and like they sabotage the games. They start leading the revolution. You got two new characters, and like,
Yeah, but how about instead of that, Ben, shut up? Sorry, we're not yet ready to the point where we're going to announce the
I don't
big.
want to George R. R. Martin this, but I kind of want to know President Snow's tax plan.
I didn't want George R. R. Martin it either, but I did want to know, like, what do you like? Why do you need all these resources, and what do you do with them? What's your plan? Because as we find out later in the book, there's a shortage of like tech stuff and seafood and like because of the revolutions, the capital is not getting its supply of bullshit
Well, there's only one way to stop the revolutions.
to keep firing wildly into a crowd of people.
No, we're gonna kill Katniss,
Oh, yes.
and then that'll break their spirits or something.
Yeah, yeah. They changed. They went real quick from like we're gonna. I don't want you to die because then you'll just be a martyr and a symbol for the revolution. To like maybe we kill you and then you'll learn your lesson or whatever. And people will stop rallying to your side or something. So yeah, Katniss runs out into the woods again, and he finds two people who are like, "There's a District 13 that isn't destroyed, and it did nuclear research for some reason, I would not have my gulag camps do nuclear research, Ben. That sounds like a bad idea.
How does Katniss know what nuclear is?
How, yeah, how does she know what nuclear is? How do these people know what nuclear is? Why do they think that there's a District 13? And also, why is there a District 13?
Well, I think there was before the capital became the capital, right?
There was before the capital became the capital, I think, and then they bombed it in oblivion, supposedly, but they didn't actually. And it's just sitting there. But they said they bombed it.
Well, they think that the people of District 13 had huge underground bases.
Why do we think this? It seemed to come out of nowhere. It seemed to be dumb, but then it turns out to be correct. Because Katniss is like, wow, this is like a weird hope of like two desperate, crazy people who ran away from District 8 after the revolution was bombed into the Stone Age, and they're just desperately grasping at straws. But then it turns out they're right, Ben.
I don't have the hugest problem with District 13 existing. I think I that's another thing I guess I'm excited about for the third book. I would love to know more about District 13. I'd like to maybe some the reason I
Here's
kept
what we're gonna
asking
do, okay, Katniss? You're gonna go in your wedding dress onto a bunch of videos, and you're gonna inspire revolutionaries.
the reason I kept asking is did she know she was getting 3 books when she started this is because like I don't know, maybe District 13 was like lightly foreshadowed in the first book, but I don't remember it.
It was only talked about as something that was destroyed, as a show of power that the capital can destroy us at any time. Again, though, if they do destroy you, they will not get the goods that your district produces.
Yeah. I don't fully understand the capital's strategy.
I don't understand it either, because these two from District 8 are like, yeah, we do textiles. We successfully won the revolution for like a few days. And then 100 and or 1,500 peacekeepers and hovercrafts came in, and they bombed the shit out of us. They took back control. And then they like locked everything down. So we started starving, which is not helping. And then for good measure, they blew up the textile plant. It was labeled as an accident, and Katniss was like, "Oh, well, that's they probably found out that like your leaders, they were all part of that textile factory, and like okay, but now you that was your textile factory. You just blew up your own factory has been exploded to kill a few rebels and radicalize everyone else."
But was there everyone else? I mean, I don't really know how many people live in these places, but like you blew up the textile
Supposedly,
factory.
District 12 is very small, and the rest are much, much larger.
Okay, but like are there many textile factories?
I have no idea, but it made it sound like there was the one.
It made it sound like there was one and you blew up the factory and every employee. It's going to be a long time before you're making textiles again.
And you need those because you're constantly making stupid fucking fashion wear. And the supply chain is disrupted very quickly, Ben. Because a few months later, the capital is already missing out on textiles and tech.
Yeah, I mean,
and seafood.
That's accurate to like I was there for COVID.
So they don't have stockpiles anywhere. And if the supply chain gets disrupted because the capital is killing its own
stockpile seafood,
they've got magic science, Ben. Wrap it in a force field. Put it in a stasis barrier.
Well, and again, if you've got this technology, why don't you just have robot fish farms?
Again, why do you need the districts? You could just have wiped everyone out and use your robots. Yeah. Why don't you? Well, anyway, they electrified the fence so Katniss can't get back in. So she has to climb a tree and then fall painfully into the district to get back home, and it was a trap. And I don't know what their plan was, Ben. And it doesn't matter, so I guess I'll move on. But I don't
They,
know
they were
what's the plan of like we're keeping you out of the district, and we're gonna find out that you weren't there, and we got you.
well, I don't know if there's like a curfew or something, but I guess Katniss was not going to return home, and either they would say she went AWOL or they would like arrest her
They
family.
already have camera evidence of her not being in the district at least twice.
Well, and can I ask you a question? Like, what did the guy who whistled the tune do?
He whistled a tune.
And you could get shot in the face for
Yes,
that?
in front of a crowd of people who presumably know you and would be very upset if you got shot in the face and who
And
are on
like,
the verge of revolution.
I know Katniss is Katniss, and people in the Capitol know her, and her death is a little harder to explain. But like, if you were going to arrest her for a legitimate crime, couldn't you just make up the crime and then shoot her? And that's the
Yes.
question I'm asking myself throughout the book. Like,
Couldn't you
can't
just
you
create
just
a
shoot her?
mutation of her and replace her? And now Katniss loves the Capitol all of a sudden. We don't know what happened.
Yeah. And Katniss, to her credit, is constantly afraid they're going to kill her because they should.
So I'm reading this too, and they shut the mines for 2 weeks, so everyone starts to starve. Then they cut wages. Apparently, they're paying these people. They're extending hours, and they're sending them into more dangerous work sites. Why? That's only going to ensure that they don't like you and want to revolt. And they're not planning on revolting. And then they're talking about the wedding, Ben. And then, spoil quarter quell, Ben. Now we're gonna do a Hunger Games, and it's exclusively from winners of previous Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be Katniss and Haymitch. Oh no, Peeta volunteered. So
Yeah, that would have been pretty bad. But they do have time to train this time, so they do a montage.
yeah, they're gonna get into the best shape of our life.
Of our life?
Shut up, Ben.
Yeah, it's I don't like the second Hunger Games.
Well, first we have to go to the Capitol, Ben.
Yeah. We were already there, but sure.
We're going back to the Capitol now.
I guess there's only like two places to go.
And then we're gonna go to this was the Capitol's plan all along. If I'm defying the Capitol and I die on live TV, then the revolution will die and I won't be a martyr? Question mark.
Yeah.
And then immediately after she has that thought, she's like, they can turn me into a martyr for the cause and paint my face on banners. And my note just says, no shit.
I don't know what they're trying to do.
Why don't they just turn everyone into an Avox? Let's just let's surgically alter everyone so they can't talk.
I like then they let every one of the like previous contestants go on the Caesar Flickerman show and talk about how President Snow's a jackass.
I can't believe that President Snow would kill your celebrities. You all love us, right? Everyone starts cheering. Yeah. Why doesn't President Snow, if he's so powerful, why doesn't he just stop these games? Sounds like he's kind of a douche, don't you think? Yeah, fuck President Snow. Yeah, that's
You
right.
think he's
Fuck
like
him.
sitting in his box going like,
The think I may have
I
overestimated a lot of things and underestimated a lot of other things. I think maybe I fucked up a lot here.
it
Big
sounds
style.
yeah, I don't know what to say other than I can't figure it out. I really hope it's going somewhere. Like,
And then Katniss gets up there and is like, I'm so sorry that you guys won't get to see that wedding that you were all promised. And also I'm wearing my wedding dress that President Snow explicitly wanted me to wear to remind all of you that I was going to be married and now I'm going to die instead. And she does a dance and her fucking dress burns off to be a mockingjay.
a
Uh
black
a
mockingjay, like a
black
funeral shroud
mockingjay.
mockingjay, and it's like,
And
okay,
my note
president.
says, sounds like Cinna is getting executed. And spoilers.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen, but like Cinna, I got to ask you a question, man. Do you like? I know it was President Snow's idea to put her in the wedding dress, and then she's obviously going to be upset about being sent to her death. So you're going to have a teenage girl in her wedding dress crying about how she would really like to have been alive. What was your end game there?
Yeah, I don't know why you needed to actually do the burning dress thing
Yeah,
unless you were trying to get killed.
it was already needless. Like, you didn't have to point out to them that, like, she's going to die. They know what the Hunger Games are. So she comes out in a wedding dress and says, like that should have been Cinna's plan, to put her in the wedding dress. It shouldn't have been President Snow's plan. That doesn't make any goddamn sense
That
for
makes
President
no
Snow.
sense. Why would you do that?
It's I would love to. I need somebody to explain it to me. like I don't even know what.
And then Peeta goes on there to pour the rest of the gas on the fire when he's like, "Yeah, sucks that we're not going to have that wedding, and also the baby's going to die."
No, he says Caesar Flickerman's like, well, it's better to it's better to have loved and lost, or something, and he's like, yeah, I would agree with that, except for the baby. You're
Yeah.
killing a baby now.
Yeah, you want to be complicit with baby murder?
Would I guess there's no exceptions, right? Like, I don't know. Like, you would think, like,
I think you have to be at least 12 to be in the Hunger Games.
yeah, I guess there's some rules, because if you're 12, you're going to stand a great chance against a 19-year-old.
Hey, cuts off at 18. 12 to 17, you're okay. You hit 18, you're an adult now. You can't murder children. Sorry.
I just
Except for this one, where some people are like 80, and some people are crack addicts, and some people are like in the prime of their life.
is President Snow's plan to
He's resetting the Matrix, Ben. He's finding the one, and they're going to overthrow his regime, and they're going to become President Katniss, and she's going to kill children because
again?
he's going to be like, hey, you need to. The Hunger Games must always continue. There must always be a Hunger Games because blank. Like there always must be a Lich King on the Frozen
Okay,
Throne.
but even the evil machine in the Matrix was doing that for a reason.
Yeah,
It kept the
we'll come up
program
with a reason
stable.
later.
President Snow, his plan is, I'm going to show the districts that they have no hope. I'm going to crush all of their hope. I'm going to make this as absolutely infuriating and soul crushing for the districts as possible. But like, even his own people are starting to, like, you don't typically want to, again, I don't want to teach you how to dictator, but you don't want to emphasize your war crimes
You
while
don't.
simultaneously downplaying your successes.
Yeah, Joe Biden really should have not not done the President Snow route. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
Bidenomics, man.
You could have talked about your infrastructure and your judges and whatever, and maybe you don't bring up the grocery prices. You know, maybe you don't bring
They're
up the
increasing
Israel.
slower. Why aren't you grateful?
Yeah, well, that's my bad. You're right. I need to be the one who reframes this. Okay,
Yeah. I don't know. I like he's losing popularity with his base.
but he's the president, and his term is presumably like life. So you can't actually
He's
vote me out.
no, but I what do the people in the Capitol do?
They go to parties. They go to parties and they consume designer fashion and child murder. Sometimes all
Yeah,
three at the same time.
but I don't. But
Occasionally they get a job as a peacekeeper that is a soldier who flies around in a hover car bombing people from the sky.
that's my thing. Like, they're not nobility though. They're not like the party leaders that run the districts.
No, they were people who happened to be living in and around Colorado.
That's not how that works.
Well, it is now, Ben.
Like, you know, the people living
That's
in
how
and
it works in
around-
real life. That's why I voted for Elon. Because he's going to take me to Mars.
Yeah, he might.
I'm going to get a seat on that
I
shuttlecraft.
believe that President Snow would think a Mars colony is a good idea.
Yeah, and he would send Katniss out there
In a wedding dress.
in a wedding dress.
And then people in the Capitol, like, I really just feel like he's sitting in his box going like, why aren't they clapping?
Yeah. Why is everyone mad at me? Okay.
You guys have been watching me murder children for 75 years. Why did this stop working? When did I missed the memo. When did that stop being cool? What, when you knew their names? Bullshit.
Well, you always knew their names. We always tried our best to humanize them, so it would be as tragic as possible for when they were killed. God, you remember when Rue, that 12-year-old, got a fucking spear through her chest? Wasn't that tragic and brutal?
Do you think maybe that's where things started to go wrong? Do you think maybe there were a couple of things in those games besides Peeta and Katniss that maybe made people a little upset?
Yeah, you know how I don't think the British Empire did a whole lot of like, here's the war crimes we were doing in Africa and China and America and Australia.
No, you go back home and you lie and you say you're spreading civilization.
We're spreading civilization and we found gold and everyone's going to become richer. Let's all go and join the redcoats. Okay?
And if you're really good at the Empire game, you can also like work a religious angle in there, like we're saving souls.
There you go.
Like, these people haven't heard about Jesus.
And also we're beating up the French. It never gets old.
Yeah. Look, if President Snow beat up a Frenchman, we'd have something. But
I also don't understand, like, it's post-apocalypse, like America's fallen or whatever. The wilderness seems pretty pleasant, though. There's not like mutant monsters or like a total lack of food out there.
What I'm saying, where the hell is everybody?
Global warming hit really hard.
Except that's
why we needed Greenland.
20 feet in West Virginia, and
that's because the weak polar vortex, Ben. That's still global warming.
Touche.
That's why we need Greenland.
For what?
It's right there in the title. Greenland, Ben.
Ah, yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
we need that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be real important.
You gotta watch. Like, you could tell they never watched the Mighty Ducks 2.
I haven't watched the Mighty Ducks 2.
There's a scene in the Mighty Ducks 2 where the Mighty Ducks coach is being seduced by the evil Iceland coach.
Oh, but that's Iceland.
And she explains to him, no, you see, Iceland is very green and Greenland is very icy. And he's like, Emilio Estevez is like, what?
You've just blown my mind, and maybe other parts I don't know.
Yeah, and then he betrays the team.
Oh my god. That son of a bitch. Well, maybe wouldn't it be hilarious if the rest of the world is just operating like modern day? Like, they're like, oh, guess America's all flooded and shit now. Anyway.
Good luck if you guys think you can.
Yeah, we are number one. So,
I mean, we're like a black hole. If we go down, you're all coming with us.
So anyway, second Hunger Games, Ben. Katniss is like, we're going to save Peeta this time. I'm definitely going to die. 100%. You definitely believe that I am going to die, correct? Also, Peeta and I, we don't want no partners, bro. We don't need none.
We don't need allies. We have Greenland.
Yeah. And then the Hunger Games start. Before that, Cinna is attacked and brained right in front of Katniss.
That was done with perfect comedic timing. I want to say
to destroy her resolve.
Cinna's like fixing her pen. He's like, this is after he pulled the dress trick, and her pod doesn't fire or whatever. She's like, oh no, what's going on with my pod? And then a bunch of guys come in and just beat Cinna to death. I assume to death. I assume he's dead.
I think he's dead. Yeah, I think he's dead.
And
whoops.
And she flies in.
Now we're on little tiny islands, Ben. And we gotta swim.
It's Hunger Games Spring Break Edition.
Yeah. WCW used to do that. They set up a ring on the pool side. That's awesome. Why don't they do that more often? I would want to jump into a pool. Anyway. So, we're swimming, Ben, to the cornucopia, which I joked would be a Chipotle this time, but there's no food in there. So it's more like a Long John Silver's.
Oh, yeah, we said it was a Subway last time.
Was it Subway last time, or was it Taco Bell?
I don't know.
Fuck, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
well, this time it's like an AutoZone.
Yeah, they find a shitload of weapons, and Finnick, who I didn't mention earlier, but I'll just mention here, he's a pretty boy.
He's Aquaman.
He uses a God, why
a trident.
Am I drawing a blank? A trident.
And a net.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, we're on the same team. Haymitch gave him a thing, a bracelet, a bangle, to show they're on the same team. And he's like, duck! And he throws his trident through a guy whose name was never even mentioned. That guy's dead. And Katniss is like, guess we can team up for now, that son of a bitch. And then the four careers, the villains of this story, ? Because we're never going to see that head peacekeeper probably again. And she's like, I fired arrows at him, but they got out of the way or whatever. Okay, well, let's just run away and take cover. So they get Peeta, they get an 80-year-old elderly woman who is Finnick's like mentor or whatever. They run into the jungle. Yeah, they run into the jungle, Ben. And boy, they cannot find any water anywhere. No water, Ben. None. That sucks. Also, they can only find like nuts for food. And what we need to do is we just need to get above this thing right here. Peeta just fucking hit the wall and goes into cardiac arrest. And I gotta tell you, Ben, this pissed me off. This guy over here,
I know why.
Finnick is doing mouth to mouth. Chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions. You do that mouth to mouth late. First of all, you have to have, if you've got two people there, one of them should be manning that mouth. One of them should be doing the chest. Katniss, get over here. Get on this guy's mouth. All right.
Yeah, you need, if it doesn't matter if there's oxygen in the lungs if the heart isn't there to pump it around.
Yeah. So we're gonna pump, right? And Peeta's heart restarts, and he's back, Ben. I thought we'd lost you, even though I decided I'm gonna go with Gail. I definitely decided that, even though the last time I saw him, he was like laid up and crippled from the lashings, and then I came here with you again. But I've already decided that I'm going with Gail. Anyway, Katniss realizes this is a giant circle. You know what would have been really helpful? If the game master said, don't go in the fucking jungle. There's a lot of bad shit that's going to happen this year. He should have said that to Peeta. Hey, here's my Mockingjay watch. It's a clock. The arena's a big clock.
I did want to ask you, before I forget entirely, a medical question.
Okay.
What's the what's the bounce back time on a cardiac arrest?
You mean if it actually succeeds?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on codes for like upwards of an hour.
How many miles am I walking? Like when you get my heart started.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. And the answer is enough. You're walking enough miles. you're in the burning hot jungle without water.
I'm just wondering, like, realistically, because I honestly don't know. If your heart stops and they get it started again, are you just like good to go?
No, you're not in a great place. Also, either your heart's going to restart on its own, or you need some medicine.
Okay.
CPR is going to... Well, also, if you did the CPR right, Peeta's got some broken ribs right now.
I was thinking that too. Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering. I know that's a nitpick, but you see it in stuff all the time. And I was like, man, I feel like I don't know what they'd have to do to your heart after they get it started again. But I feel like it's not just an on-off switch. I feel like that's got to be more complicated than that.
Well, there's a lot of things that they speed run Hunger Games, you know? We can't find water. Here's a parachute with a little spigot thing. Just put that in the tree and get the water out.
But that was also the only way to get water out.
Yeah.
How did anybody else survive?
It's a good question. How did they survive?
Did they all use sponsor money? Also, the sponsor money's flowing a lot more free this time.
Yeah, because this is the best Hunger Games ever.
That shit used to be a big deal. Now they're just like dropping bread left and right.
Shitloads of bread. Yeah. So then lightning happens. And then
also, is everybody nude? I got to ask.
No.
Because everybody, like, they mentioned that the suits get scrapped pretty early on. So
no, but they mentioned that the undergarments... I was going to mention that, Ben. The undergarments are completely intact. And, like, I'm okay with that, but it's kind of funny that they explicitly brought attention to it. It's like how Goku, like, he's never going to just have his dick just flop out, right? The pants around his junk is indestructible, but his shirt can just explode and disintegrate.
I thought you were going to reference how when Goku's shirt pops off, it's on. But you went a different way with that. And I respect your perspective.
Yeah, no, all their shirts and uniforms get destroyed, but the undergarments are made of
Mormon magic.
Mormon magic. There you go. we can watch children murder each other every year. We can then invite those children back decades later to murder each other all over again. But we don't want to bring any sort of like dangly bits into this, okay? We
That
want a nice,
does
wholesome, clean murdering. All right?
that does sound like the America I know.
We're okay with violence, but when
Violence
you
is
add any
fine.
sort of sex, no.
I don't ever want to think about anything that might lead to human bonding. That's gross.
Yeah. Ew. Anyway, they're gonna keep watch in case anyone tries to come and get them. And what should come and get them but a sentient poisonous fog?
The Fog, also an excellent movie by John Carpenter.
And so the 80-year-old sacrifices herself so the rest of them can escape.
Her name is Mags. Put some fucking respect on it.
Hell no. I like how
Mags, unironically, my favorite new character.
she is pretty
I
solid.
loved Mags. When Mags
like-
hops off his back, kisses him on the cheek, and then runs off to die.
It's
I
hilarious
saluted.
it's hilarious that Katniss was like, I get it now. She knew she wasn't going to win the game. She volunteered herself so that one girl wouldn't have to go. No shit.
I like when Katniss is like, Peeta has to live because if anyone's going to be a revolution, it has to be someone who knows human speech. And it's like,
You're right.
You're not wrong, Katniss. Like, from the trailers, I actually thought you were a lot better at this than you are. Very good at murdering people. Very bad at everything else.
So they managed to detox in the salt water. This poison apparently leaches into your body and also nerves, and water is the cure, Ben. But
Convenient.
Mags is dead.
Wouldn't it be... Now, I'm not a biologist, right? Aren't you, made of water?
Yeah, but that's water inside your cells. I need water in a big old vat.
Would the fog be as effective? Like, if the fog is,
Nothing about this sounds very effective.
And you're covered in sweat, right?
Again, just unleash the fog on the rest of Panem. Automate all that stuff.
That's a really good point, because then you wouldn't have to blow up the factory.
Yeah. Look, I'm saying if you're going to be an evil dictator, be an evil dictator, all right? I don't know what else you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, they also fight orange monkeys, Ben. And
that was stupid. That was really stupid.
Is about to get Peeta when a druggie runs out of nowhere.
A morphling. Let's get it right. A morphling addict. Is morphine copyright or something?
Yeah.
Do we not want to besmirch the good people at Morphine Inc.?
My note was just, lol, what? Like a fucking morphling addict jumps in front of the monkey.
You're editing this, but I want you to put in the morph sound clip from X-Men. Because that's what I was thinking. And you know what? They fucking brought Morph back for that new X-Men cartoon. Eat it.
He should die again.
He might. I didn't watch it yet. I'm sorry. I didn't watch X-Men 95.
So this whole time she's thinking, I'm going to need to find a way to get rid of Finnick, but I don't know if I can do it. It's like, okay, I know you're not gonna, but okay.
And she's also starting to think, why is everybody saving Peeta all the time? Why, in a Hunger Games, if somebody just happened to die through their own stupidity, no harm, no foul on your part, just happened to walk into a giant
a monkey
energy
almost
wall.
got rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah, why did somebody jump in the way to take the hit for Peeta? Why did this dude do CPR on Peeta? Why do people keep saving Peeta? I know why I'm saving Peeta. But why do they save Peeta? I think they're more about that malark. You remember Peeta's last name? Malark.
I just got off the debate stage, and I've never heard so much malarkey in my life. Be less old, Joe. Be less old.
If he had been, he'd be good. This comes out right before the inauguration.
Right before Joe Biden gives a speech about all the things he accomplished in his 4 years, and maybe he'll be able to string together enough sentences and paragraphs to.
I like how Words About Books is a. I would like to imagine
We're so
that sometimes in the distant future, all that remains of this century is a handful of Words About Books recordings. And the only way people can glean what happened is from the random political stuff we inject into each episode. And that's all they know about this time.
Oh, can you imagine?
They're like, they got research analysts and interns fast forwarding through this ancient forgotten language, trying to find scraps of names and dates. And what's the meta tag on this one? It came out right before the what? Okay, we could sort of build a timeline of what happened in ancient America.
So they run into Beatty and Wyrus, who are two nerds.
Bro, can I tell you how frustrating it was that Beatty was looking for a wire and her name was Wyrus, and I kept reading Wyrus as wires, and I hated that.
And also Johanna is here. I didn't mention any of these people before. I don't care. So Johanna, her deal is that like she's gonna be really standoffish, seemingly for no reason, like
and nude often.
Yeah, and
a lot of nudity, a lot of descriptions and nudity.
And Katniss is like, "Wow, can you lay off him?" And she's like, "Fuck you!" and like tries to rip out Katniss's eyes.
I don't think that's quite what happens.
And then she's like, "Wow, you let Finnick's mentor die, you piece of shit."
So she says she saved those people specifically for Katniss.
Yeah.
And Katniss is like, "Well, why did you save them for me? I hate you because you're often nude around me." That was a thing, right? Like she
was
gets
often nude.
They're in an elevator together, and Johanna gets fully naked to try to make Peeta look or something to piss off Katniss.
Was that what she was trying?
I have no idea. I also think she's like 30.
Yeah.
And they were 17.
Yeah. This is the capital, baby.
So I don't know. I don't know what that was. All I know is like Peeta, good man, eyes forward. He did not fall for that trap.
So Katniss figures out it's a clock. And then they're all what's his nuts got stabbed. Beatty got stabbed earlier, and Wyrus doesn't really talk so good, but Katniss understands her sometimes because Katniss also doesn't talk too good sometimes.
Yeah. Watching Katniss and Wyrus try to puzzle out the clock was
and they figured out the clock, and there's 12
sections. They got there in literally 6 hours.
and then they're inside of the cornucopia, and they're just like, "I'm hanging out here," or whatever, and so Johanna's like, "Wow, he got like a wire. Like he needed a wire for some reason. I don't know why he would do that." And then Katniss is like, "Well, you nicknamed him Volts. Shouldn't you know that?" And she's like, "Wow, that must have been really stupid of me. I guess I was distracted trying to keep your friends alive, and you got Max killed." I'm like, "What?
I actually know what that was about.
Was this because of the secret plan?"
Yeah, it's because the cameras she's
I-
she's pretending like she doesn't know why he needs the wire.
Wow,
And
I guess it slipped my mind. Shut the fuck up.
yeah,
Shut the fuck up.
she's like, isn't that
Have
why
you
you call
not
him
learned they have invisible
Yeah.
cameras literally everywhere? They watched you kiss your cousin.
Oh my god, is
I
that
saw
how
it.
they knew? I saw it.
So,
and then Wires gets stabbed.
oh my god, Gloss stabbed her, and so the career tributes from District 1 and 2. There's 4 of them. Their plan was, we're going to go 4v6, and we're going to be the attackers inside the cornucopia. And yeah,
they
obviously
got one surprise round.
They got a surprise round, and they wasted it killing Wyrus.
Yep.
And in exchange, 2 of them were shot.
That was the plan. Not a great plan.
Were they in on it?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. They went from 4v6 to 2v5.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't accomplish much. The advantage is still the same, right?
They basically don't exist, right? Like, they're not important. They don't even really
No.
show up until...
I don't think they show up again.
So there's some other traps, Ben. There's a bunch of jabberjays that sound like your sister is dying, and Finnick's lover is dying, and they're dying, Ben. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Seemed like a thing that was going to happen when all the districts went into revolt, and Snow was like, made it very clear he's a psychopathic murderer who will not stop, even though I think he needs these places and these people.
He definitely he will destroy all of them and then die of starvation when the food runs out. Yes. He'll be like, all right, show of hands. Who knows how to farm? Shit. Okay, well.
What if we just engineered a bunch of creatures that could do this for us? Why didn't we do that before?
Because how could we torture children with that? Next question.
I feel like at some point somebody's got to be like, but
why does our labor force need to feel fear and sorrow and repression? Why do they need to do that? We could just have robots, you know? I keep asking people, do we really need our Roombas to be able to feel pain and fear? And
well, first off,
answering.
yes. Otherwise, they won't clean as good. The suffering makes it clean.
The suffering makes it cleaner.
But yeah, second, it's like I go back to the only reason I could think, if there really is no like twist here, the only reason I could think to do it this cartoonishly stupid is because if you wrote a story for children about violent revolutionaries killing a fascist government in what is basically the United States,
and it looks an awfully lot,
and it looks
like
anything like reality, yeah, then they're not going to give you the Caldecott Award, or the Newbery Award, and you're not going to be able to sell it at the Scholastic Book Fair.
So yeah, she kisses Peeta, and it feels really, really good, Ben. She's like, oh my god, that was a real kiss. And I haven't felt this way since last year when I also kissed him. But my heart belongs to Gail, Ben. She doesn't even say that, because Gail who? Who is that?
Yeah, I don't.
Who? I don't even know who that is. Anyway.
This is the weakest love triangle. I know you haven't properly read Twilight. I will tell you, in Twilight, it is never even for one moment ever even possibly Jacob.
Yeah.
But
I kind of got that impression.
Yeah, but he's at least there and does stuff and talks to her sometimes.
And then he imprints on a baby, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, that
some character assassination over here. I'll teach you to be Team
he does
Jacob,
that, and then Stephanie Meyer just still, I don't know if she had much of a career after that, but like Nobody's talking about taking that out of the Scholastic Book Fair. What is the Scholastic Book Fair anymore? Do they still do that? Do kids read? Do they know how to read?
I don't even know what a book is, Ben.
Fair enough.
So, what are we talking about?
She kissed Peeta. It felt good. Gail's there.
Felt good. Some stuff happens, and some more stuff happens. And
There's a really long, convoluted sequence with hooking the wire up to an electrical
we're gonna hook
tree.
the wire up to that tree that gets struck by lightning, and then we're gonna.
Somebody is obviously digging the chip out of Katniss's arm after she gets beamed in the head.
Yeah,
I don't think
Johanna's stabbing her in the arm. She's like, "Oh my god, is this how I die? How? Oh my god! Ah!"
She's really working that arm.
She's really going after that that arm. And then Katniss, like at the very end, she's like, "I get what the plan is," and she fires an arrow with a wire on it into the force field, which then explodes, and the dome comes down, and then all chaos happens, and then cut to black. Katniss wakes up. She's like, "Why won't they let me die? They kidnapped me. Well, I'm going to keep giving myself brain damage by whacking my noodle across this table over and over again." And finally, she's like, "Wait a minute. No, I'm going to stop giving myself traumatic brain damage and pulling out all my IVs. I'm going to go kill Peeta first so he can die. Sweet release of death. Then I'll kill myself. Solid plan." And then she walks in on like Finnick and the Game Master and Haymitch are all having a conversation. Haymitch is like, "Oh, hey, you're done fucking destroying your brain, you fucking idiot." And
she's like, "Same to you, asshole."
And then they're like, "Yeah, this was our plan all along. District 13 exists, and there is a revolution, and we're going there right now, and we're going to do the revolution thing that we should have been doing this whole time."
And
see you next book. Buy the next one.
Well, Katniss has just one question. Where's Peeta?
Oh, yeah. Well, would it help to know that District 12 was firebombed? It's gone, Katniss.
Gail
is here.
Go away. Where's Peeta?
So District 12 was bombed.
Yeah, Peeta wasn't in District 12. Where's Peeta?
Okay. So maybe Peeta got away.
I'll kill your whole fucking family. Launch across the tables. Claw your eyes out.
How did
six men have to restrain her?
He was like next to Katniss. He was in the vicinity that he could hear her voice.
What do you mean?
I swear, when the shield went down, before she blacked out, she could hear Peeta, or Peeta could hear her. He was nearby.
I think when the shield went down, it was probably quite the race.
Wow.
I don't know. But yeah, they let the Capitol take Peeta.
Wow. Well, I guess I have to be with Gail now. Do.
No, Gail.
Nope. I'd rather die.
Gail, I have another question for you. I mean, after the book ends before Katniss wakes up after they hit her with the booty juice for trying to claw Haymitch's eyes out. But when she eventually wakes up, I got to imagine she looks at Gail and she's like, "So, District 12 firebombed. How'd you get out?"
I walked.
Yeah, why the hell were you not there? I don't like Gail. I suspect him of shenanigans.
What if I told you
and tomfoolery
that he hooks up with her and he is actually the one that she gets with?
Well, I would say that is some President Snow level writing.
What if I say that she gets together with President Snow? And that's how they...
That would actually explain his actions somewhat. Yeah. If that's what was going on. No, I have no idea what's going to happen next.
Yeah, this book has the problem of it's just an Act 2 that sets up the Act 3 and doesn't really do much from the Act 1. And it was trying to be two different books.
It blows my mind that this was planned.
It blows my mind that Google AI said that she understands the 3-act structure.
It has the feeling of filler.
This is a filler book. 100%.
So if it was planned, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you're saying with the 3-act structure. If this was planned to be 3 acts, this is not the second act.
No, this is a continuation of the first act that then does some filler. And then we just go into the third act.
Yeah. I don't know. You want a rubric? I guess my thoughts might come out there.
Let's rubric blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja.
I can't reach my keyboard.
/words-about-books-review-rubric /
I think it's a /, but it's fine.
Wow. How dare you? But you're right. It is a /. Content and ideas, Ben. I'm going with a 3.
Yeah.
Clear ideas and plot points are present, but maybe underdeveloped or unoriginal. It is very unoriginal because it is the first book, but worse.
Yeah.
And less developed.
I would say, yeah, the maybe underdeveloped. I have no idea. Like I said, this is either genius or stupid, and I can't tell. But yeah, that's
let Ben know if you're a Hunger Games fanatic and you got all the way to this part of the podcast without shutting it off. Is President Snow a secret genius?
I'm really not trying to be like pedantic. I'm really not. I'm invested in the story, and I'm trying
I don't
to
know what
guess
President Snow's plan is.
Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
He seems
and
to change his mind a lot. Yeah. I don't want to kill you because that'll make you a martyr, but I am going to kill you live on TV. And I need you to pretend to be in love, but that's going to make people like you.
Could you wear your wedding dress and say something really sad?
Yeah. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with any of that. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Organization, Ben. I'm going with a 3.
Yeah.
There's certainly an organizational structure, but the pacing is all over the place, and it feels like one book kind of crashes into another book, and this is the result. They're building up the descent in the district, and they're like, how is Katniss going to deal with the fact that the peacekeepers are here, and they mean business, and who cares? You're off to a Hunger Game. Bye.
Yeah, and then especially who cares, because it got
now it's got blown up. It's done.
Everybody's dead. That arc is dead.
I wonder if we'll even see that peacekeeper again.
I doubt it.
Yeah, he's probably gone.
I'm telling you, he's Pontius Pilate. He's in the Bible for like 5 minutes.
5 minutes is all he needed.
I guess it's Pontius Pilate. I don't know why everybody in church always said Pontius.
That's his name. Ponchi Pilate.
Probably not Pilate either. I don't know how to say anything. All right.
Jolly Jones.
Speaking of not knowing how to say anything, language.
3 again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like spoiler here. Of all the Hunger Games books I've read, this one was definitely the middle. I don't know.
Yeah, personal preference. Also a 3.
Yeah.
Generally positive, but it failed to impress for sure.
The thing that's not coming out in the podcast, because people might be wondering how it's even getting this high of a rating if we have all these problems with it. It's not a bad read. The characters are good.
Are the best part.
I like Katniss. I like Peeta. I like their relationship. I like Finnick. I like Mags. I like Joanna. I like Haymitch. I mean, the only one I don't like is Gail. I don't care about Gail one way or the other. But like even Katniss's mom was better in this one. Like they did a little thing there. And Katniss's emotions, like Katniss is, I think what saves this book is Katniss feels real. Peeta feels real. President Snow doesn't feel real. The Capitol doesn't feel real. But like somehow they managed to if all this crazy bullshit is happening to this girl, This girl makes sense. Like her reactions make good sense. I don't know why all this crazy shit is happening to this girl, but I can't. I mean, that's a real response. So it's this weird mix of like clearly Suzanne Collins can write, but I don't know what happened here. But something weird happened here. So that's why I would say, yeah, I'm generally positive, but it is failing to impress for sure.
Yeah.
This is not as good as the first. Not even close.
And then, yeah, recommendation strength. Weak recommendation.
It's 3. Because,
Yeah.
like, I really hope that Hunger Games Part 3, what is it, Mockingjay?
Yeah.
I really hope that brings it all back and makes this... If Mockingjay is solid, then I guess this is worth it. This is super short. It's not a big ask. It didn't feel like a slog. If Mockingjay is solid, I would recommend reading this if you were a fan of the first one. If Mockingjay is not solid, you can just hop off the train at Hunger Games and you're fine.
Yeah. Yep, that would be my recommendation as well.
So we'll see, because I'm invested enough. Like we've abandoned series in the past, but I'm invested enough to finish this. So we will see. But yeah, that's a 3 out of 5.
Yep.
That's the 3est out of 5.
Threest you could possibly give it.
Yeah, it is. As the kids say, mid. I
was gonna say that it's very mid.
Yeah, I don't know what. It's almost impossible to talk about without having the full series, because I don't know where it's going, and I could see myself eating a lot of these words. I could honestly say, if somehow in the 3rd book, all of President Snow's just moronic plans somehow make sense, I will amend this rating.
What if it makes sense because he has dementia?
I might be able to get you up to a 4 for personal preference. Best I can do. But yeah, that's where I am with this.
Anyway, I want to shout out our yacht tier plan Patreon. First, we've got Keegan. Didn't want a shout out, and that's why I like him the most. Then you've got Shy on TikTok, Shy with a Y, until TikTok gets banned, unless it gets overturned, unless there's a new law on the books. TikTok, for now. And then we've got John Bierce, author of The Mage Errant, The Rack, and another book that comes out very soon that maybe you'll see around here. You got James, the Gravy Man. Wait, sorry, scratch that. He is not the Gravy Man anymore. Don't go to ifyouwantthegravy.wordpress.com. Don't go there. Because he reviews movies and soda and all kinds of things, but he also reviews books. So, he's dead to me. Then we've got Isekai Sensei Sama from That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as Anime Podcaster podcast. Is the Hunger Games an Isekai?
Hey! Riot!
Wait, hold on, everyone. I just saw it on TV. She didn't do it out of rebellion to the state. She did it for love. Yeah, I know. That means we have to put all this shit back and gotta go back home. Stop rioting. I know. Hey,
I don't make the rules, okay? She did it out of love. My hands are tied. Sorry.